and we'll deal with that.
Allison, you're ready to start.
Thank you. Mr. Corcoran, are you ready? Okay, we're going to go on the record. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this second hearing, second public hearing on the charter school application that was filed with the school district of the city of York for the entity to be called the Lincoln Charter School Annex. My name is Allison Peterson. I am legal counsel for the school district, and I will be serving as the presiding officer for tonight's hearing pursuant to the school district's policy 140. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, this hearing, which would typically be held in person, is being held via the Zoom conferencing platform, and it is also being live streamed tonight via YouTube. The hearing has been advertised both in the newspaper as well as on the school district's website, and instructions have been given to the public as to how they could participate in tonight's hearing by providing public comments in two different ways. One, by registering for the Zoom link and providing comments via Zoom, and secondly, by submitting written comments to the board secretary by 5 p.m. this evening. We have a court reporter here tonight because a transcript will be developed for those members of the board who are not able to be with us tonight. And the transcript will be part of the record that is created for the charter school application consideration. Mr. Corcoran is our court reporter this evening. He is taking down everything that is being said. I ask that those participating try not to speak over one another. That's doubly hard via our Zoom format, but we will all do our best to be patient and wait here. One caution that I want to make sure I put on the record, and really for everybody participating, is that because of technology, I want to make sure that Mr. Corcoran is able to hear everyone. So if at any point during our hearing tonight, the audio becomes glitchy or cuts out in any way, either Mr. Corcoran or others who are having difficulty hearing need to provide some indication to me so that we know that, because we certainly want the transcript to reflect everything that is being said. There are times where there's a delay with the video. The video, while that may be annoying, the video is not as important as the audio, because we want to make sure that the transcript is completely accurate. So I'm just a cautionary and word of advice to anyone. If you have difficulty hearing, please let us know that. Before we begin with the substance of the hearing, I'm going to ask Ms. Farrell to take a roll call vote of the board members who are present this evening, and then we will get into some introductions of everyone else who is participating.
President Breland. Director Brown. Here. Director Moore.
What did you say?
Director
Hallie.
Breaking up.
Oh my goodness.
Corey, there's a problem with your microphone.
It's a little, it's really, get up here.
Okay, try it.
Go in the room.
I'm sorry, Allison. I'm not getting, I'm having a hard time. I heard Director Wood, but it's really breaking up. Let me see, maybe I should turn it down.
Jess, you keep muting me or I keep muting me?
Wait. Am I the only one?
All right, hold on. Tom, if you can mute yourself.
Okay.
I do think, Lori, that there's a lot of echo coming off of your microphone.
Director Breland. Still can't hear.
It's better than it was.
Okay, Director Breland.
No, he's not here.
Director Brown.
Here.
Director Orr.
Here.
Director Sweeney. Director Bryant.
Here.
Director Higgins.
Here.
Director Thompson Morgan.
Here.
Director Riviera. Director Kennedy.
Here.
Thank you. Can I now have the representatives of the school district administration who are here tonight identify themselves for the record?
Good evening, Governing Board, York City School District. Thank you guys for having us this afternoon. I'll have each one of the
Hold on, Dr. Hart. I said just the school district administration.
Got it.
Sorry, we'll get to you. Don't worry.
Okay, so just a minute. So we remain at school, but like the school district, all you district. Got it. My bad.
Okay. Dr. Barry, I believe you're here somewhere.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Andrea Berry, Superintendent of Schools.
Good evening, Dr. Latricia Gloucester, Assistant Superintendent.
Good evening, Jill Kozer, Assistant Superintendent for Special Education.
Good evening, Lulu Thomas, Director of Pupil Personnel Services.
Good evening, Dave Diffendahl, Acting Business Manager.
Good evening, everyone. Rob Bernhardt, I'm Director of Human Resources.
Is that everyone for the administration?
It's Jessica Altoff, the IT Director for the School District of the City of York.
Great. Thank you. Okay, now Dr. Hart, it is your turn. Can you please either introduce your whole team or they can introduce themselves individually along with their title as it would relate to the new charter school, please?
Copy that. I'll just have the individuals introduce themselves, Attorney Peterson. That'd be a lot easier. We have Leonard Hart, CEO, Lincoln Charter School.
Annie Clark, Assistant Principal, Lincoln Charter School.
Shantae Smith, Human Resources, Lincoln Charter School.
Adam Dively.
Go ahead, Adam.
Adam Dively, Curriculum and Data, Lincoln Charter School.
Wendell Harper, Director of Facilities, Lincoln Charter School.
Ginny Smeltzer, Office Manager, Lincoln Charter School.
Karen Horn, EL Coordinator at Lincoln Charter School.
Akila Hawkins, Culture and Climate, Lincoln Charter School.
Leah Ellingson, Special Ed Manager.
Michelle Kilgore, Mathematics Coach, Lincoln Charter School.
Amy Fleming, Reading Specialist.
Solita Day, School Social Worker.
Deb Smith, fourth grade lead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Kathleen Dorr, Reading Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, did you get Deborah Smallwood? Fourth grade lead, Lincoln Charter School.
Caitlin Foreman, Math Teacher.
April Antico, Health Room Nurse, Lincoln Charter.
Chante Smith, long-term substitute at Lincoln Charter, soon to be teacher.
Noemi Ortiz, bilingual secretary at Lincoln Charter School.
Equina Washington, Board President, Lincoln Charter School.
Ariel, Mary,
I was waiting for everyone to go. Ariel Carrasquillo, Director of Technology, Lincoln Charter School. Do you need me to spell my last name over Zoom?
nah, it's spelled out there. Oh, it's spelled out on your Zoom, Ariel. Thank you.
Cool.
Ma Mary. Yes, okay, we have Kim Mary. She's our financial manager internal. She can't get herself off of mute. Okay, and
Okay.
Tom Taylor, outside financial consultant.
And Patricia Hennessy, attorney for the applicant, Conrad O'Brien.
Attorney Peterson there. That's all the representatives for Lincoln Charter School Annex at this time.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
In terms of what tonight's hearing process is going to look like, let me kind of go over the agenda so that we're clear. We are going to pick up where we left off at the last hearing, which was during the questioning of the applicant. We do have some additional questions for the applicant, although it's not going to be nearly as long as last time. Following the end of the question period, the administration of the school district, per the board policy, will provide an evaluation of the application. My understanding is that an evaluation document had been supplied to the applicant earlier this evening prior to the start of the hearing. And I believe that document has also been provided to the board at approximately the same time it was provided to the applicant. So we will be hearing from the administration with a presentation of their evaluation. Then we will allow the applicant to give a closing presentation of up to 30 minutes under the board policy. The applicant, following that presentation, there will be a period of public comment at this second hearing as well. And we will have the folks who are participating via the Zoom provide public comments, and we will read the public comments that were submitted prior to the hearing tonight. Then we'll go over some housekeeping matters, and then the hearing process will be adjourned. Okay. So the one item that I want to mark tonight, if you recall, we had marked some exhibits at the first hearing, so we're going to pick up in terms of the numbering where it was left off at the first hearing. The applicant, after some back and forth about a date for tonight's hearing, was provided official notice via a letter of tonight's hearing date on January 19th, 2021. That letter that was directed to the applicant's counsel will be marked as School District Exhibit number 2 for purposes of the record. That's the only housekeeping matter at this point. Mr. Corcoran, I'm going to ask you, well, let me ask the applicant, Dr. Hart, you a question. At the last hearing, your applicant team who was present at that hearing was sworn in. You would, those individuals who were sworn at that time would be under the same oath that they swore at the time for purposes of tonight's hearing. But it does look like there is a bigger group of people or additional people that you have tonight that were not here the first time. Do you anticipate that they could possibly be answering questions?
Yes, I do, Attorney Peterson.
Okay, so to make this easy, we are going, if it's acceptable to you and your counsel, we are going to swear the totality of the individuals who you identified and introduced them themselves for purposes of the record, swear all of you in, and then we'll just do it as a group, and the record will note who those people are because they've already identified themselves. Is that acceptable?
We have no objections to that.
No objections at all, Attorney Peterson.
Okay, so Mr. Corcoran, can you please swear all of those individuals in as a group?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, does everybody swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? So do you affirm?
Yes.
Affirm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Affirm.
Okay.
Affirm.
All right. Thank you.
Because we were doing that as a group, is there any individual who was previously identified as an applicant representative who did not swear in response to Mr. Corcoran? I hear no voices. Thank you. Okay. During the first hearing, I believe it was you, Dr. Hart, in your opening presentation, made some statements about the desire of the applicant either to receive an amendment to the existing Lincoln Charter School charter or receive a new charter. So the board would like to have some clarity about the applicant's intentions in that regard.
Okay.
So can you indicate whether Lincoln Charter School, the existing charter school, for which I believe just about everybody who indicated they were here tonight is a representative of Lincoln Charter School. Is it Lincoln Charter School's preference to receive an amendment to its charter rather than a new application or a new charter for Lincoln Charter School Annex?
Yes, it is. It is our it would be great to have an expansion or an amendment to our current charter to an expansion to grades 6, 7, and 8 as we currently speak. That is true.
Okay. And during your presentation, I believe you utilized the figure of 785 students as the enrollment that you would be seeking for the existing Lincoln Charter School in the way of an amendment. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, Attorney Peterson. As it sits right now, the current charter sits at 785, and we are ready to go with 785 for the current amendment.
Okay. And so let's just make sure we're on the same page about that statement.
Sure.
The current executed charter, which was from 2015,
yes,
for Lincoln Charter School, has an enrollment number in it that is a total enrollment of 785 students.
It has an enrollment of 785. Yes, it does.
Okay. And are you saying then that the amendment, if that is something the York City School Board would be in agreement with, it would be for the same number of students that is in the existing charter?
It would be for the same number of York City students at 785. Yes, it would.
Okay. But with the addition of the middle school grades 6, 7, and 8 and the second location, is that accurate?
Yes.
All right. If the York City Board of School Directors would be interested in having discussions about the amendments, would the expectation of the applicant be that the application that's currently pending for the annex be withdrawn?
Yes, it would. If the expansion is granted, then the current application would be withdrawn. Yes, it is.
I think someone is not muted. Okay, thank you. In terms of the grade structure, the group testified at the last hearing that for the annex, the expectation would be that the grades 6, 7, and 8 would be added incrementally 1 grade per year. If the same scenario was posed for the amendment, would your expectation be similar? That the amendment would be adding grade 6 in the first year, grade 7 in the second year, and grade 8 in the third year?
Yes, it would. It would be the same structure as you stated. Grade 6, year 1, grade 7, year 2, grade 8 for year 3, grade 4 and 5 would be full implementation with under further review. Yes, it would, Attorney Peterson.
So you would not be anticipating adding the 3 new grades simultaneously. It would be a structured addition over the course of the 3 years.
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Mr. Hart,
Tom, yes,
I just sent you a text. Can you look at that?
yes. That's in the structure, Tom, that you asked about the structure. Mr. Taylor, would you like to talk about that piece while Attorney Peterson, Tom wants to add this piece to the building. Tom Taylor?
The intent would be if the amendment would happen with the current charter, that the current charter would possibly look at the 5th grade to move over to the annex. So rather than, go ahead.
No, I just, make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
So you're not suggesting there would be, you're not suggesting that anything that Dr. Hart just said is incorrect about how the grades would come online or the overall enrollment numbers. You're saying that an additional change would be that 5th grade would also operate out of the 459 West King Street.
Correct on the grade structure with adding 6th grade year 1, adding 7th grade year 2. That is correct.
And
what I wanted to add to that is the current charter would look at the 5th grade to determine whether they move them over to the annex building or keep them in the 5th grade. So just to be clear, if a charter amendment was granted, they would want to have the option to move the 5th grade over to the annex.
And that's just structure, Attorney Peterson. As far as we're still going grade 6, grade 7, grade 8 will be the implementation phase. That was your question, asking about the implementation. As far as the way we structured, the fact that this will be a continuing charter, meaning that this will be all under one LEA, the way we structure would be that it'd be an internal, but there will be no additional grades added past grade 6 year 1, grade 7 year 2, grade 8 year 3. If we decide to move grade 5 from Lincoln Charter 4559 over to 5459 West King Street, that's just a structure type process. But yes, to answer your question, it's just grade 6, 1 year 1, grade 7 year 2, and grade 8 year 3. Full implementations grade 3, 4, and 5 under review of the York City School District. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is the current enrollment at Lincoln Charter School, K through 5?
Give me 1 second. Smeltzer, you have that with you right then and there? I had it written. I got stuff all over.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Hart, it's 622.
Okay. Got it.
I'm sorry, I don't know that I heard that number.
It's 622. Current 622, currently grade level.
And do you know how many of those students are York City School District children, residents children?
Dr. Hart, it's 76. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's approximately 540.
Thank you.
So a total enrollment of 622 and approximately 540 of the 622 are York City residents.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I have just a few questions about the Annex application and some content that's in it. If you can pull up the document, I'm going to direct you to page 9 of the document.
Are we Attorney Peterson, just for clarity, the document that we're talking about the document that we were presented by the York City School District Administration, or are we talking about the actual application piece?
The application for Lincoln Charter School Annex that your team submitted.
Copy.
Page 9. Okay. At the bottom of page 9, there are 2 tables that are referred to as having waiting list information in them. Can you just provide some information about what specifically appears in each of the 2 tables?
Ms. Smeltzer, can you please talk about that on page 9 of the document that talks about the waiting list?
Yes, sir. It'll take me just a minute to get there. I apologize.
Thank you.
The screen share rights have been opened and approved, so you can.
Copy. Ariel, Mr. Carrasquillo, can you please pull up the document so we can share it? Page 9. There we go.
Right.
Thank you,
So,
Ariel.
So the information that is presented on page 9, and unfortunately, because I have my screen kind of blown up, it's 9 and 10 on mine, but was the waiting list that we compiled of our zip codes with our current waiting list and our 5th grade students that we moved over to the 459 waiting list section of that table, just so we can show that the intentions of our 5th grade students are to move into that 6th grade open slot of 459. So that's where that waiting list number character came from.
okay. So as we're looking on the screen share at the 2 tables, I'm specific, there's a table on the left-hand side that's entitled LCS-559 West King Street.
Correct.
And then there is a table on the right that is entitled LCSA-459 West King Street.
Correct.
The table that is on the right side, is that what you were referencing when you said the 5th graders that had been moved over for the annex?
Correct. So the table on the right side titled LCSA 459 West King Street is the waiting list that was compiled of all of our 5th grade our current 5th grade students that would be next year the 6th grade students for the annex.
So when you say waiting list, are these students that are currently enrolled at Lincoln Charter School, or are these students that are on a waiting list waiting to get into Lincoln Charter School?
These are students that are currently enrolled in Lincoln Charter School, as well as, because the number is greater than 5th grade, as well as these are students that have, their parents have expressed interest in 459 West King Street to send their student there, which was, I believe, as well included in the application on that same page, talking about the survey of question 6 or question 3. If Lincoln Charter School expands to 6th grade, would you add your child to the waiting list?
And Attorney Peterson, if you will allow us to, Ariel, if you could pull up the actual Lincoln Charter School chart with that we created for the presentation that will show the expansion of the grades and the grade levels that we have, that will basically answer that question for you, Attorney Peterson.
Well, okay, don't get ahead of where we are, because okay, you guys, you can talk about that in your closing presentation. It's fine.
Copy.
I just need to get some clarity on what's here, and I'm not sure we have it yet.
Okay.
So the table that's on the right, you're saying is reflective of all of the current 5th graders, which I believe you had said at the last hearing was 95.
Correct.
Plus additional students whose parents have expressed interest in enrolling in 6th grade at the annex, who do not currently attend Lincoln Charter School. Is that fair?
I cannot speak to that portion of the question, as the survey was sent out to all of our parents, as well as put on our Facebook. So it is possible, but I cannot tell you for sure if that is the answer.
Attorney Peterson, can you pretty much clarify your question? Are you basically asking, or do we already have the students to move forward into grade 6? Because we're talking about implementation of 1 year to 1 year. By the time our students matriculate from grade 5 to grade 6, we're only talking about a 1 year implementation. We already have the students to go into grade 6. So the fact that the kids will move from grade 5 to grade 6, we already have those students in the building.
Dr. Hart,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
just trying to get clarity on what's on this page.
Okay,
so that we understand what's being referenced by the term wait list.
yes, ma'am. The wait
So-
list is just pretty much something that was done to say, okay, if we were to open up Lincoln Charter School Annex, would you, and that's the difference between the expansion versus the application. The application talked about if we were to open up a new school. So if we were to open up a new school now, we're talking about apples and oranges here. We're talking about the expansion versus the application. Which one are we talking here?
Dr. Hart, we're talking about the annex application.
Got it.
Okay. My earlier questions were to get some clarity because there seemed to be some, I don't want to say confusion, but because of some of the comments at the last board meeting, we wanted to make sure we understood what was being asked. But right now there is an application pending for the annex. So we also need to get clarity on the specifics of that. So that's what we're focusing on right now.
Copy that. I just wanted to make clear to the team that we're talking about the annex and not the expansion, because what they were talking about with two different things at that time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So on pages 9 and 10 in these particular charts, the information that's on the right, are all of those numbers in there where it says number of apps? Is that applications? Does that mean
so numbers of apps is the numbers of, I guess and again, I would apologize on that portion. Maybe we should have said numbers of.
Ariel, can I jump in?
Yes.
Attorney Peterson, it's Annie Clark.
Wait a minute, who's this?
This is Annie Clark.
Oh, okay, and thanks. Oh, I see. Thanks.
So what the question was asked on the survey, Attorney Peterson, is if Lincoln Charter School was to open a 6th grade, would you want to be added to the waiting list? These numbers are a reflection of the survey respondents that said they would want to be added to a waiting list. This could be current students. It also could be individuals who are not current students.
Okay. And the chart that's on the right for the annex, is that only reflective of students who are currently in 5th grade, or are there other students in those numbers?
There are other students in this number.
Okay. How do you know how many students that are 5th graders currently are reflected in the numbers on the right-hand chart?
Yes, that question came up the last time and I went back and found the answer to it. It's 100%. So every student that we have in 5th grade today is on the waiting list, would like to be added to a waiting list if we receive the annex.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But are you talking about the 95 current 5th graders at Lincoln Charter School?
Yes.
Okay. My question
Annie,
was,
I'm sorry, Attorney Peterson. Annie, there's 209 students on the right-hand side. Are all 209 applicants 5th graders going into 6th grade?
No.
That's the question. How many are going into 6th
If
grade?
we look at the numbers,
That
95.
Mr. Taylor who was saying that? I'm sorry.
yes.
Yes, it was.
Okay, go ahead.
If we look at the calculations, 95 of them, yes, Attorney Peterson is 5th grade. 114 are reflected in the survey above as interest.
So it's 95 current and 114 potential students. That's what we would have.
So how many of the 114 are current 5th graders?
Is it 95 that we have in our current 5th grade?
The 95 and the 115 are two separate numbers.
No,
So
I'm asking right now, what is our number in 5th grade right now, today? 95, I believe.
95.
95, yes.
Yes.
So of the 114, Annie, what grade are the 114? It's not Lincoln Charter School anywhere. What grade are the
It could be
114?
anywhere, and I would have to actually pull up the surveys to get the exact grade with those students. The question was asked of the grade and their location, but that's not in this table.
Okay, so you know that 95 of the 209 are current fifth graders because those are the Lincoln Charter School fifth graders, but you don't know right now how many of the remaining 114 are current fifth graders.
No, all of the current fifth graders would like to be added to the waiting list, all 95. All the other numbers are students who don't attend Lincoln Charter School.
I know, and my question is specific to those students.
Correct. We do not know for sure if the 114, I believe, are fifth grade students from other school districts without re-looking at the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we don't know at this time, Attorney Peterson. We're just
Okay.
looking at, okay, that's basically what we're saying.
Got it.
But we will do a lottery when we'll not exceed the actual cap. So that's what we're getting. That's not working.
If you look at page 63 of the application, and go down a little bit, please. I want to actually go up. I'm sorry, your page numbers are different than mine.
You're fine. It's because it's a Mac.
Okay, to the page, for this page that's down further where it says enrollment policy. Okay, in the paragraph under enrollment policy, there are words used there that say, quote, established eligibility criteria, end quote. And talking specifically about how students will be selected for enrollment. Are there eligibility criteria for the annex? And if so, what are they?
There are no eligibility criteria for the annex. All students will be accepted. We are a public charter. We will not deny access to any student.
Would fifth graders who are currently enrolled at Lincoln Charter School receive a preference for admission into the Lincoln Charter School Annex?
Yes, they would. But there will be a lottery system. There will be a lottery system done. So we want to make sure that, you know, we have a charter with the New York City School District. So those students, of course, will receive first preference. But we are a public charter, so there will be a lottery system, and those students will get in as children.
Right.
And those students will get in.
Yeah.
My question, sorry, Mr. Corcoran.
No, it's okay. Sometimes.
Yeah, we wanted clarity because this section does not talk about a preference for Lincoln Charter School students. So you are saying that yes, those students would receive a preference to get into the annex if the annex was a separate charter school.
Yes, we would do a lottery. So we would do a lottery, and a lottery system is what we will actually do to get our students into our program.
Okay. If the annex as a standalone charter school would receive a charter, would any staff be hired prior to July 1, 2021?
No staff will be hired prior to July 1, and that will be up to the annex staff to do their hiring.
What would be the anticipated security systems or personnel at the annex?
Well, the anticipated security systems that we currently have would basically be we have an MOU with the New York City School Police, and that's pretty much it. So we have an MOU with the New York City School Police. You know, we want our school, we want the school to look as, you know, as we don't want it to look like a prison. So we won't have any, you know, wands or metal detectors. We won't have that process. It will just be, you know, assuring that there's a camera system, you know, a swipe system to get in and out. There will be a kiosk at the front door as well. And we do have that in our presentation if you'd like to see it.
Would you anticipate that the annex would be a one-to-one school in terms of devices for students?
Yes, it would.
And what type of devices are you anticipating giving to students?
Right now we're looking at HP. Eric, you would like to speak to about the other processes that we have that we'd like to see in the annex. And you're just talking about the annex and the annex only.
Of course. Ariel Carrasquillo, Lincoln Charter School. For the one-to-one program devices, we are looking at the anticipation of the approval of a lease for iPad devices to go to a one-to-one program, as well as creating laptop and desktop labs that could be utilized by our students.
And within the budget that was submitted, has money been budgeted for iPad purchases for the one-to-one?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mr. Taylor, can you just identify which line item contains those expenditures or line items?
It's under the 5-year plan. It's under the technology classroom. So if you look on, I'm going to look at the, go down to the budget, which would be,
We did the 5-year. It was the year 1 startup, then year 1, Tom.
correct, but I'm looking for what page number it is.
It's page 3, technology under equipment. It's under equipment, technologies on the bottom row. Line, I can't tell the
Well,
line.
no, it's page number for the whole charter app. It's roughly page number 129.
Yes. Ariel, can you go down? Go all the way down to the budget.
Keep going, Ariel.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Go on. Right there. Go
No,
back.
keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Go down. One more. So you should see in the underneath equipment, there's technology. 100,000 year 1 all the way through year 3, 100,000 each year, 75 the last 2 years.
Okay, and that line item includes the one-to-one devices.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any PPE, personal protective equipment, in the budget?
That fits under the administrative piece. That fits under the administrative budget that we talked about. And at the time of this application, we couldn't put any PPE because we had already submitted it in 2019. We hadn't been hit with COVID at that time.
So the answer is no.
No. No.
One last series of questions about the budget, and then I think we're almost done. On page 12 of the budget, which I think is around page 135. There's a rent reimbursement worksheet.
Correct.
And the number of students that's reflected in the rent reimbursement worksheet is 400. And that does not seem to match up to the representations about the enrollment that are in the application, the 250 in year 1, 500 in year 2, and 750 in year 3. So my question relates to, if the enrollment is different than what's represented here, does that affect the rental reimbursement amount per year?
The enrollment does affect that. That's the max you can receive. So if you max that down to 250, give me a second.
It's Mr. Taylor again?
That's correct.
That's Mr. Carter, Mr. Taylor.
That's what I'm asking.
So 250 in year 1. The max you can receive is 40,000. So yes, it would go down approximately $18,000.
But then, Mr. Taylor, are you saying that the max you can receive is based on a 400 student enrollment?
The max you can receive is based on your enrollment. So there's a typo in there. That 400 should be 250 for year
Okay.
1. Year 2 would be 500. Year 3 would be 750. So in the first year, it's understated, and the last It's overstated each year.
Each year.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the just so we're clear, because I didn't know if there was some other configuration for the calculation for the rent reimbursement. So the amount that is included there for revenue is overstated each year and would need to be
It would be adjusted.
Reduced.
Also correct, but the other thing in this budget, it assumes the charter school market value age ratio remains fixed for the 5 years. That does not happen. But for these purposes, we kept it fixed. And that's all. Yeah, so it would be reduced.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay. Right. Let me just check because this is harder with the Zoom format. In the interest of time, we're going to move on to the administrative presentations, but I would invite York City board members, if you have any additional questions that you would like to see asked, to contact me per the instructions prior to the hearing, and send me any additional questions, which we can get to a little bit later. But let's move on to the provision of the school district's report at this point in time. So I don't know who's going to be leading that, but if the folks who are going to be involved can introduce themselves, and then we'll get to swearing you in.
Jess, we're going to need screen sharing rights back so that we can put up the review, please. And this is Lulu Thomas, Director of People Personnel Services. I'm going to start. And then the other people that will be speaking on behalf of the district are Dr. Gloucester, Mr. Bernhard, Mr. Diefendahl, and Dr. Kozer.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you sworn, Allison, or?
Yeah, so all of those individuals who Ms. Thomas just mentioned, we're going to swear you in as a group, please.
Okay, yeah. Does everyone swear or affirm the testimony they give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, or so do you affirm?
Affirm.
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 Affirm. Thank you.
You may proceed.
Hey, Jess, we're going to start with school. Can everyone hear me? We're going to start with school design. So you can see that we've listed the mission statement for the LC for the Lincoln Charter School Annex application. We have no issues with the mission statement. The next thing we have are the measurable goals on page 1. The only
just Ms. Thomas, I apologize for interrupting you, just so the record is clear. Right now on the Zoom, there is a screen share occurring where the school district administration's report is being shown to the public, and the administration is now going through that report. So I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas, please go ahead.
Attorney Peterson, real quick, may I ask a question? Is this document a review of the actual application, or is this their interpretation of our application? I just wanted to be clear in what we're reviewing.
It's a review of the application. That's what you're viewing.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
Okay. All right. So we have no issues with the goals and objectives that are listed. We did have a question that we'll ask in the end about the use of the DRA and the primary grades to evaluate student reading progress. We'd like some clarification on that, but we'll get to that at the end. Go ahead, Jess. All right, right there, that's good. So I continue to list what was in the application in terms of monthly, quarterly benchmark assessments that will be analyzed by the teachers and staff. We noted that the application doesn't reference a specific data analysis tool that will be used. The application doesn't explain the criteria for determining which students will receive intervention services from the classroom teacher or the interventionist. The next point that we had a concern about was the SAFSS team. It states in the application that there will be 6 data points used to determine next steps for students who need intervention and need help. The application does not identify those 6 data points. Next, we list the non-academic goals from the application. Then the next thing we noticed was that the annex wants to have a group called the Student Community Cares Crew that was established in 1920 school year to provide opportunities for students in grades 6 through 8 to participate in community outreach. And as I state, there are a list of ideas listed on page 16. We did not see, nor could we find, that the application doesn't mention who will be responsible for tracking student hours. So Jess, if you could page up to education program. Dr. Gloucester, are you ready to start there, or do you want me to continue?
Sure, I'm happy to start just with the overall programming as well as EL.
Yes, you can do that and then do EL. We're going to kind of jump around a little, folks.
Okay, good evening. So upon review of the educational program, programming in brief, the application does speak to the notion of the curriculum being an intersection of standards, resources, plans, and assessments. We believe, obviously, that the curriculum is designed to provide students with unique opportunities for high quality content. However, based upon review and analysis of the application, we did not note, there was nothing provided around a specific instructional framework, a curriculum, a specific scope and sequence, standards-based common assessments, or an identification of priority standards aligned to its scope and sequence. While the applicant does provide a name of an instructional program for its core content areas within the narrative, there was no specific instructional framework aligned to these areas. More specifically, when we think about, or a lot in unison to that, that did parallel with what we found with upon analysis of the English language learners. Again, we did not note in the application a specific instructional framework or curriculum specific for English language learners. There was an identification of a REACH program, and we know that, such programs are used to be used as a complement or resource, as a component of the entire instructional program, but not the actual curriculum. So those were some of our findings upon the analysis of the application around the educational programming.
Dr. Gloucester, do you want to go right to straight page 7 and 8?
Okay. Specific for EL and special programs?
Yes, please.
Certainly. We looked at each of the areas noted here. Upon reviewing the reclassification and monitoring criteria, the applicant did not specify or indicate any reclassification or monitoring procedures for the EL students that will be serviced. Upon reviewing the teacher-student ratio for the EL learners, there were implications around staffing being outlined specifically on page 71, as well as the budget reflecting 1 ESL teacher for year 1, then 4 ESL teachers for year 2, upon the prediction of enrollment doubling as noted in the application. However, no additional ESL teachers in year 3, where the applicant projects there will be an additional 250 students added to the school. So the ESL staffing didn't appear to be consistent based upon what the applicant was noting in the application. Upon review, as we looked at some of the information regarding appropriate interpreter and translation specifically for parents and community members for communicating upon enrollment, as well as when meetings are occurring, the applicant did not provide a specific procedure or protocol or information regarding how communication will be disseminated to our parents to the parents who speak another language. Upon review, the application around parental rights regarding opting out of the ELD program, there was no specific information around what that protocol would be. Likewise, upon review regarding Title I funding specifically for EL students, there was no information regarding how the Title I funding would be used specifically for that demographic. And finally, again, in unison with the educational programming, looking at assessments for the EL students, there was no specific information that was provided around how EL students or how WIDA scores, which is what our PDE, our state uses to identify.
What was that acronym? Was there a WIDA or something?
WIDA, yes.
Okay, good. Keep it.
I'm sorry.
I see it on the form now. I'm sorry.
No worries. There was no specific information regarding how that assessment, which is used specifically for our English language learner students, how that would be used to support student performance, student growth, as well as helping to informing instructional practices and monitoring student progress. So those were our findings upon the analysis of the application.
Thank you, Dr. Gloucester. Okay. All right, special education, Dr. Kozer, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and go, please.
Okay, so Jess, we'll begin on page 6 in reviewing the information provided in the application. So in the special education section, we first started by looking at the child find obligations. And on page 13, we did find that the MTSS framework was outlined. The additional information to include specific written procedures and the documents related to the pre-referral process associated with child find is needed. The application, as referred to earlier, talks about the 6 points that are used to make a decision about special education evaluations. However, the 6 points are not spelled out in the application. And then also on page 35, the application references a child find policy in the narrative, but we were unable to locate that policy for review. Moving into the supervision of the special education program, on page 33 of the application, it states that the LCX Annex will employ a special education director. Later on in the budget section, that team member is referred to as a special education coordinator. However, we were not able to locate a job description or clearly understand the roles and responsibilities of this staff member. In addition, the applicant did not specify the certification that's required for the person who will be supervising the special education program at the Annex. So when we look at the implementation of IEPs and service delivery, page 33 states that the LCS Annex will adhere to all state and local regulations in regard to meeting educational needs of students with disabilities. However, we were not able to locate any additional information regarding the how. How will the IEPs be implemented? How will services be delivered? What will that look like in a continuum of services? And it's important to note that as we reviewed the application, the language was lacking when we looked at all disability categories. So how will the LCS Annex provide effective instruction to all disability categories? And this led to a deeply concerning piece of the application for us in the Office of Special Education, that Throughout the application, there was no mention of accommodations, modifications, inclusion of students with disabilities in the core curriculum components. When we looked at the academic goals section, the student assessments, the curriculum maps, we would expect to see language here, not just for the general education population, but also for the EL and special education populations. And so by not mentioning students with disabilities in this section, this did lead the team to question the applicant's commitment to inclusion and to effective service delivery for students with disabilities. Our federal, state, local guidance is clear that when we talk about equitable learning experiences for students, each student must receive access and opportunity with specific supports regardless of their race, disability, language of origin, and other demographic factors. And so by omitting the students with disabilities from the discussion of the overall approach to educating students at the Annex, and giving us the description of the full special ed program in just 6 sentences on page 33, I am compelled to state that the school district of the City of York's Office of Special Education team has significant concerns and objections to the approval of the application as it stands and as it was currently submitted. If we continue to move on to the special education teacher certification, again, back to the statement on page 33, an appropriate number of teachers is referenced. There's no indication of what disability categories the teachers will serve. And again, a lack of specific plans for staffing and supporting all disability categories under IDEA and Chapter 14. On page 66, then, we do find additional information around the certification of special education teachers. And the application states that special education teachers will hold appropriate certifications. Because this is a middle school application, the applicant, we would need to have the information as to how your special education teachers are meeting the PDE requirement for highly qualified content-specific service delivery. So a special education certification and a content area certification is needed to deliver instruction in a middle school environment. And then the component around special education services that would be contracted, page 33 states that the Annex will contract with a school psychologist, OT, PT, speech therapist based on needs. However, a contracting agency was not identified. Written contracts were not provided. And so we were unable to provide feedback on whether or not the contractors were in compliance with the terms of the contract that would have been created with the LCS Annex. And then the last component was around the gifted program, and we were not able to locate information regarding gifted programming in the application.
Thank you, Dr. Kozer. Mr. Diefendahl, are you ready to handle the finance portion, please?
I'm ready, Ms. Thomas. Page 4, please. At the bottom. So I'm going to address finance and facility. First question is concerning PSERS or retirement account. The Annex application does state that they will be opting into an alternate retirement plan as approved by PSERS.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for that. I'm sorry, sir. Did you repeat that last part you just said?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to start with finance and facilities at the bottom of page 4.
Okay.
Number 3.
Okay.
The application does state that the Lincoln Charter School Annex will be opting into the alternate retirement plan that needs to be approved by PSERS, which is better known as a 403B. The employer contribution rate will be 5%, with employees eligible to contribute to said 403B, referenced on page 125. It does not appear that such a plan currently exists because it may not have been requested as yet. Second question is, will the school provide all of its employees with the same healthcare benefits as provided to the York City School District? That's referenced in two different places in the application. The supplement, which is page 125, in the original document, page 67. In general, they are in alignment. However, the employee portion, which is also known as the premium share, is not listed or shown. And the specific plan or plans for coverage has not been provided. Employee leave, paid time off is not aligned with the York City School District. The application states that only full-time employees receive paid time off. Will the school pay overtime to non-exempt employees? This is not addressed in the application. There appears to be multiple non-exempt employees that are in and will be employed by the LCSA, custodians, paraprofessionals, etc. Insurance coverage referenced on page 60. There is no detail and no insurance letter supporting the pro forma financial statement insurance expense for workers' compensation, school leader insurance, property, general liability, et cetera, et cetera. There's multiple coverages of insurance that school districts obtain. The amount for year one of $65,000 in the pro forma financials on the surface appears to be insufficient without this letter of support. Building lease at 459 West King Street. While the requested charter annex by LCSA is for 5 years, there is no building lease information provided in the application. Child accounting requirements of PDE. There is no one identified to perform child accounting and attendance duties as outlined on page 61 of the application. Salaries and benefits. On the presented pro forma financial statements, the salaries for teachers in particular seem low. There is no detail on the educational level of the teachers that will be hired. And if there are salary increases for the attainment of advanced educational degrees, i.e. a master's degree, master's plus, or a doctorate, as is the norm in public education. Transportation. What is presented is in alignment with PDE rules and regulations. Food service. The food service details are not fleshed out. The application does state that they will hire an FSMC, which is a food service management company, and that is allowed by PDE DFN, which is Department of Food and Nutrition. There is no statement that details the meal delivery and what if the food service costs exceed revenue, which is a risk to the financials as experienced during the pandemic. The details are not presented on page 76 where I would have expected to find them. And in conclusion, presented financial statements are in general very optimistic in my opinion. Small contingencies budgeted will not allow any issue that is overlooked or underestimated. There are always startup costs that are overlooked and or underestimated, coupled with a lack of detail on insurance and rents and the rosy teacher proposed salaries. This is of significant concern.
Thank you, Mr. Diefendahl. Mr. Bernhardt, are you ready to speak to your sections?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, Jess, if I can go to page 3, please. We want to reference under teacher and administrator evaluations. We found here that the Lincoln Charter School Annex proposes to utilize PAE-TEP to evaluate the teachers, and administrators will be evaluated by a licensed outside consultant. The applicant doesn't identify a specific evaluation tool that they're going to use or who that outside consultant would be. I'd like to, if I could, jump to page 5, where we talk about administration and, or I'm sorry, implementation and administration. Application mentions recruiting and marketing, but the plan lacks sufficient detail. talks about enrollment information and states that students or residents of the city of York will be given first preference for admission. I want to jump down to the last sentence where it says Lincoln Charter School Annex, pages 64 to 72, provides a breakdown of teachers and staff they plan to hire, although a PD plan or a professional development plan hasn't been provided. I believe everything else was referenced by Mr. Dippendall and Dr. Kozer. Unless, Ms. Thomas, do you have any other questions?
Thank you, Rob. Okay, and then the last parts I'm going to handle, and that's under school accountability, page 3, Jess. The application doesn't identify a specific method by which the Lincoln Charter School Annex that we'll use for self-assessment or evaluation to ensure that the school is meeting its stated mission and objectives. In the school community portion, the applicant references the use of school improvement meetings, Title I, open house day, trimester student-led conferences, monthly board of director meetings as a means to engage parents. LCSA states it will utilize the annex as a wellness center for the entire community. It does not state who will operate the annex, and the specific services to be provided are not identified. If you go to page 4, please, Jessica. The applicant references extracurricular activities, and I list them there. Attendance was a concern. The applicant did not provide an admissions policy, lottery plan, or attendance policy. The applicant references child accounting attendance procedures on pages 61 and 62 of the application, but the applicant did not discuss how student attendance will fit into the code of conduct per the prompt in the application template. And the last category the next to last category I'm addressing is student discipline. The applicant references the code of conduct, also references the ropes program and the suspension expulsion procedures on pages 73 through 75. The code of conduct was not provided with the application and therefore could not be evaluated to determine if it includes compliance, suspension, and expulsion policies and procedures, or if it reflects the ropes restorative program as an alternative to discipline. And finally, under number 2, needs assessment, the application has a statement of need on page 6. It states that the continuation of this school will allow us to increase the achievement for our students even further at LCSA as a middle school model. LCSA's mission will be to create innovative pathways for students pursuing careers in entrepreneurship, focused areas in leadership, business, art, and technology. Their mission is of developing a 21st century leaders for tomorrow by providing a world-class education. In terms of community support from the York City community, there are no letters of support or other indication of support from any parent, community member, business, or other entity, including the list of people and organizations on pages 48 through 50. Attorney Peterson and guests, this concludes our review of the Lincoln Charter School Annex application.
Okay, thank you. The written report that was circulated via email prior to tonight's meeting and which you have been looking at on the screen share will be marked for purposes of the record as, I think we're at School District Exhibit 3. And that will be included as part of the record that the board will be reviewing. All right. Sure. Have any questions? No. Okay, so Mr. Corcoran, do you need a short break or are you all right?
I'm okay.
Okay.
If we're going to the, that's fine.
We are going to turn now to time for the applicant's closing presentation. Dr. Hart is a quick talker, so we want to make sure your fingers are ready.
Take a little extra time, doctor. It's okay.
I'm going to take my time with this one, Mr. Cochran. Trust me.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we're going to turn the floor over to the applicant. You have, as I said, up to 30 minutes per the board policy to make the closing presentation. I know you had distributed or you sent to the district 2 documents that were marked as presentation, I believe, for this purpose. Do you want either of them to be pulled up for the screen share at this time?
Yes, Attorney Peterson, can we please have screen share rights back to Mr. Carrasquillo? We have reviewed the administrative review document that was sent to us this afternoon at 5:30. We have reviewed it and we are ready to acknowledge what was presented in this document. We have the document already reviewed, and we have the different pages that we would like to reference that was referenced by the administration. And then we'll go right into our other presentation that we have. So we'll make that real quick. And that's just pretty much for us to address what the administration has presented to the board tonight. And then we'll go into our presentation going from there.
Okay, well, so you have, just so we're clear,
Yes.
you have the 30 minutes. You can use that time as you see fit.
Copy.
Whether you want to use that to respond to things the administration said or go, that's up to you. I will say this now because it might impact how you want to use that time. As part of the board policy, policy 140, the applicant will also have the opportunity to file proposed findings of fact and conclusions of law with the board after tonight's hearing, and we'll establish a deadline for the submission of that at the end. So you will also have an opportunity to respond if you would like to the administration's presentation as part of that document. I just want to make sure it's clear.
Copy. I appreciate it, Attorney Peterson. I think for the respect of the record and making sure that this is on the record, I think it deemed necessary that the Lincoln Charter School Annex reply and review what the administration has presented tonight. So we will use our time wisely. And thank you for that, Mr. We appreciate it.
All right. So I'm going to, is everything up and ready to go for you here?
Are you ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
Just real quickly, is there a timer?
Yeah, right here on my,
Yeah,
on my
okay.
phone.
Got it.
I'm the timer.
Got it.
So I'm going to hit start and I'll have it set for 30 minutes and I'll give you a warning when you have 5 minutes left.
Great. Thank
Copy.
you.
I appreciate it. Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
Thank you, Governing Board, York City School Board. Thank you, administration of York City School Board. Thank you for this detailed note that you've given us. We'd like to look at this thing a little, look at this process a little further as we go into the school design. Please be advised that this process was completed back in 2019. At that time, there was a process where you had 30 days to present anything that any additional questions, no additional questions were sent to us, but we'd like to talk about this process as it is. We have taken this document and looked at it in its entirety, and we have some measurables that we'd like to talk about. So Mr. Adam Dively, at this time, our director would like to talk about our measurable outcomes and the applicant's math proficiency goals. Mr. Dively.
Hello, this is Adam Dively.
Go.
Ariel, go ahead and scroll up because there was no questions about the math proficiency goals. There was no issues with those. One of the questions was about the application, the specific data analysis tools. We do have in there that we were going to utilize a CDT, the Freckle benchmark, and then the STAR in reading math diagnostics. That was included in the.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm trying to find where you were just, you used some acronyms there, Adam. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. CDT.
Okay.
And STAR, STAR.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good. We also talked about the, I'll skip around here a little bit, Ariel, real quick. The curriculum frameworks. You know, obviously Savas is the publisher that we're going with. They have a scope and sequence that they expect us to kind of follow in order to implement it. That is something that we do have currently in the works, and you know, it is available for review if needed. Thank you,
Is that
Ariel.
it, Adam?
Yep, that's it for me.
Copy that. Going down to the SAS data points and looking at the SAS data points, Mrs. Fleming, would you like to talk about the SAS data points and how that SAS process is perceived by the administration, Mrs. Fleming?
This
Okay.
is Amy Fleming.
Okay, you said what, the SAV, what data point?
SAS, SAFSS.
Okay, I see it. All right, thank you. I want to make sure that's the same one. Thank you.
Mrs. Fleming, go.
As noted, it said that we will use 6 data points to determine the next steps. We did not list specific 6 data points because each child's education and their path is different. So a child may get different data points depending on their needs. So we did not put specific data points that we would use, but again, we would use progress monitoring, we would use grades, we would use diagnostic assessments that they have taken with their classroom teacher. We would take those, but each student is different depending on their needs. That's why we did not list per se what 6 specific data points we would use.
Thank you, Ms. Fleming. Moving down, Mr. Carrastillo to the Communities Cares Crew. Go, no, not that far, go back. Right there, Community Cares Crew. Our Community Cares Crew Governing Board is a team that we presented that will have go out to make sure that our students are taking that. We don't just meet the needs of the students within our building, but we meet the needs of our students out of our building. Please be advised that Lincoln Annex will have a certified school counselor that will be responsible for charting those hours. Ariel, please move down. Keep going. All right, where are we? Okay, go up. Curriculum areas, Mr. ELL learners, Miss Karen Horn, would you like to speak about the ELL learners and where we are with that spots process? Miss Karen Horn.
I think we could go down to, well, okay, I'll start with the curriculum. When you were mentioning the REACH program, it's a National Geographic REACH program, and we do use that now, but it does filter into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It's amazing. It gives vocabulary development, authentic literature. It builds background. It does all those things that we need our students to get extra of. So we do have a curriculum. Okay, Ariel, you can go down to the boxes. On page 7. Okay, referencing the reclassification and monitoring criteria, we will continue to follow what the state mandates and regulations are. It was something that I felt that everyone knew, and I shouldn't assume that that was something that came from the state that we normally will do. We also have an elevation program that keeps all of the students and their scores and their demographics and all of that in place. And the teachers are going to be have that readily available to them to go into. They can play with it, but they can't change anything. I'm the only one that's going to be able to change anything that goes into there, but it's everything that the students need, their placement testing, their WIDA testing scores, all of that stuff will be in there.
So thank you for your time real quick. For the sake of time, there's 25 minutes that we have left. We'll talk about ELL and our application. I'd like to get to Miss Leah Ellingston that would like to talk about our special ed. We'll go back up to where we had special ed. Miss Leah Ellingston, our director of special ed. Can you please talk about some of the points that we discussed in our pre-meeting about the special ed piece? Miss Ellingston.
Yes, I kind of agree with Ms. Horn. I think some of the things were just assumed that they would be part of. We're currently, we don't have a special education curriculum that we follow. We follow our school-wide curriculum, and then our special education teachers provide differentiation, and our general ed teachers provide special design instruction.
I'm sorry, last part there.
I'm sorry, you just cut out.
You cut out, Leah.
Oh, sorry. Our general ed teachers provide specially designed instruction based on our students' IEP needs. And I didn't realize that that needed to be specifically spelled out in the curriculum, but we'll make sure that that's added in there or answered. There was another question about, trying to find it. Special education, the program, what the person would be doing. If I'm understanding correctly, the title would be special education coordinator. If special education director was added in there, that was obviously a mistake. It would be one title, one person, and they would have the criteria based on the state requirements.
And please be advised, for the sake of the order, all of our teachers will be certified teachers in their respective areas. Ms. Ellison, you can continue. 1 minute.
Yep. And then if there was any specifics about roles and responsibilities of the special education coordinator, that would come from our human resources. Were there any other specific questions, Mr. Hart, that?
No.
Okay.
No, all the other questions we will talk about in the reapplication process. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, going down, as far as the administration talking about the teacher certification piece, all of our teachers will be certified, all the administrators will be certified. We will use the PAE-TEP system that we have, Mr. Cochran, that we'll use to make sure that all Act 48 hours are properly documented, as we also give the district a copy of all of our Act 48 that we submit to the state as of right now. As far as the administration, we will use an outside source, which will be a licensed superintendent to come in and do the administration evaluation. That is something that has been in place since Lincoln's conception. That is done by a licensed superintendent to come in and actually do that administration piece. Moving down, Ariel. Keep going. Okay. Special education, keep it going. Keep going. Ms. Clark, would you like to talk about food service and as far as the food service program and the implementation of those programs? Ms. Annie Clark, assistant principal, go.
It wasn't until about 15, for the first 15 years of Lincoln, we did not actually have our own school food authority. So we're well versed in the area of applying for and the requirements of having a school food authority. If the amendment would be granted, that would be an expansion of the program we currently have. We're one of the very few schools in York that have not only the school food authority, but we have the CACFP, fresh fruit grant, and other services. We have all the food services provided. So I'm not sure exactly what you were looking for, but PDE has a stringent requirement on how to apply for school food authority. And we are well versed in that. We'll be prepared to do that if need be. Thank you, Dr. Hart.
Thank you. Right now at this time, I'm sorry, was that you, Mr. Cochran?
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Tom Taylor, would you like to talk about the financial pieces that were identified in this process? Mr. Tom Taylor, repiece and tell outside source. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to add to the food service. The current charter school actually is showing a profit, unlike other charters or districts in this pandemic. So the statement made earlier by the administration that due to the pandemic, there is a loss in the food service. The current charter school does not have a loss through 12/31/2020. With regards to the school enrolling all its school employees, the new charter and an existing alternative plan, the 403B, effective July 1st, 2016, new charters were allowed to opt out of PSERS. That is the plan for this new charter. Although it states in here that the current charter does not have that, that doesn't apply because this is a new charter and they will opt out. The letter has not been prepared because they haven't granted the charter. Once the charter is granted, the letter will be prepared and sent to PSERS for approval. With regards to the healthcare coverage, the new charter will plan on using the consortium that is out there in the York City area that the current charter uses, and they do match the health benefits or try to be as similar as possible as the health benefits for the district. With regards to the premium share, we chose not to include that in the budget. So we actually have a savings there that is not in the budget. So the numbers within the budget are the actual expense, not offset by the premium share. With regards to PTO, that will be addressed with the HR department. All full employees, if it is required that part-time employees receive PTO, that would be also addressed. With regards to school being paid overtime, if it's applicable, it will be paid. Insurance coverage, there is no detailed letter for the current or the new charter. The current charter expense for last fiscal year was matched to the new charter and increased based on last fiscal year. Those charter coverages that we understand there are multiple ones for a charter school as well as a district, and we have to meet the district's requirements. They will be met, and the insurance costs will be covered in there. With regards to a building lease, we cannot have a building lease until we have a charter. We have an intent for a lease, but not a lease at this time. Child accounting, as part of the office staff, and that'll be addressed in charter and in the next session. Salaries and benefits, it may appear that salaries are rosy as the district has identified. However, the average salary of a teacher in the current Lincoln Charter School is $48,854. This application has a minimum salary of $50,000 for teachers. With regards to food service, I mentioned that already. And the overall financial pro formas, although it does look rosy, there are contingencies built in, $75,000 the first year, $500,000 each additional year for any costs missed. Also, when you look at the fund balance, it goes significantly higher after year one, all the way through year 5 from, bear with me.
1 minute, Mr. Taylor.
You have 30 seconds.
Got it.
The fund balance goes from 13,749 all the way up to 10,800,000 as of year 5. So if the contingencies weren't reserved, we can always take it out of the fund balance. That's all I have.
Copy that. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I do appreciate it. So at this time, to the York City Governing Board and to the administrative team, we could go through this document and go through all and refute a lot of things that you have in there. I'd like to end with Ms. Annie Clark to talk about our supportive services that we have to help support the Lincoln Annex. And then I'd like to end with 1 minute with Ms. Day, our school social worker, to talk about the Annex and the Wellness Center. You got 1 minute each. Go.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hart. Lincoln Charter School Annex will have 2 student support services lanes. One would be, of course, the academics, which includes SPED, ESL, our enrichment teachers, our instructional coaches. In addition to that, of course, we follow the MTSS process and all of the tiers that all schools follow in providing supports, both tier 2 in the classroom and tier 3 outside of the classroom. We also have our affirmation team, which is, I think, which makes Lincoln the most unique in taking that holistic approach. So we understand that the guidance counselor, the attendance officer, the licensed social worker, the administrator, the parents, the students, culture and climate plays a huge part of that, all take a role in supporting the child. So what we really try to do is to wrap around the entire family. We try to identify the needs. If it's academic, then we approach it there. But most of the time that we see a behavior issue, it's always a home issue. And so really there might be more support for the mother, the father, the grandparent. And that's why Lincoln Charter School Annex will be successful, is because we've been doing this for 21 years. We know what the students of Lincoln in York City need, and we've been providing that for 21 years. Thank you, Dr. Hart.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Day, would you like to talk about the Lincoln Charter School Annex, and then we'll end 30 seconds about our ropes program, and then I'll kick out the last presentation with the last 12 minutes I have. Let's go.
Thank you. The Wellness Center was established because during this pandemic, we really became aware of the needs of our families. We had families who didn't have basic needs. They didn't have the hygiene products. They didn't have food. They didn't have things that we take for granted. So in our Wellness Center, we are prepared to not only help the students and families of Lincoln, but also the community. we have been a community-based school for 20-something years, and we will continue to do that. The Wellness Center looks to partner with other agencies that share a similar philosophy in providing the social, emotional need, in helping the families with the social, emotional needs that we see a deficit in with so many of our families today.
Thank you, Ms. Day. I appreciate it. Thank you. So at this time, Governing Board, I'd like to move to our last presentation. I have several of my other team members that will not get a chance to speak tonight. Our culture and climate team, Ms. Hawkins, I really want to acknowledge them and their great work that they've added to this process. Mr. Carastillo, our Director of Technology, thank you. And just to everyone else, to our enrichment teachers, Mrs. Kilgore, Mrs. Fleming, just thank you guys. To Ms. Smith, Chante Smith, our HR Director, that will ensure that all of our teachers are certified and that we follow all PDE protocols and procedures as it pertains to hiring, as it pertains to all the things that you presented in your application, in your review of our application. We will make sure of that. And moving forward, I'd just like to thank Ms. Kim Mary, which is our internal affairs. So please be advised that we have realized that the old Lincoln versus the Annex is something totally different. We've learned from our mistakes, and where we are right now is that we know that Edison and all those different management groups, they don't work. So now moving into the Lincoln Annex, we want to make sure that we have create a program that is conducive to make sure that we grow the holistic student from that lower grades all the way up to those higher grades. And we want the kids to go to the high. But here we go, back to our presentation. Moving forward, Ariel, just to talk about some of the things that you talk about, some of the frequently asked questions, what is our number being asked for the charter school, our academic model. You can read, we're all adult learners, so I won't read through these. Moving forward, Ariel, for the sake of time, okay? Some of the frequently asked questions where we're asking for year 1, 250, 500, 785, which is our actual number. That's all we're asking for. Please be advised that we got to this point because the expansion was denied. And the reason why the expansion was denied, we don't know. We're hoping that we can revisit that process and have the expansion approved. But if not, where we are with the Lincoln Charter School Annex is that we're asking for 785 students. That is totally separate from Lincoln Charter School. So the Lincoln Charter School charter is written for 785. The Lincoln Charter School Annex charter will be written for 785 as well. Are you moving forward? Okay. All right. So some of the number of enrollment that we requested, we will not exceed the Lincoln Charter School. We will have the lottery system as we noted. So we didn't put it in the application, but there's something that we will do. With having a lottery system, making sure that we use that process. Moving forward, Ariel. Okay, some of the more we talked about the requirements, making sure that we receive those requirements as identified in your review of our application. We make sure that these are the things that will be necessary for those students to enroll. Moving forward, Ariel. I'm sorry, Mr. Gloucester, for the sake of time, I got to move. Academic model. Ariel, would you like to click just so I think we need to spend a little time on the academic model. Making sure what we've taken time, guys, we've taken time to break down the Lincoln Charter School Annex.
Dr. Hart. Man.
Yeah, Dr. Hart, you got to stop.
Just a little bit there.
Because it doesn't help you if it's not in the record.
Ooh,
okay, so just let's take a moment.
Take a moment, sir, please.
Okay, copy. When you say 30 minutes, you got 30 minutes. I got it. I understand. Got it.
Yeah, well, but you won't have it if it's not in the transcript.
Copy that.
So, okay. So we have to make sure that Mr. Corcoran can get all the words that you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Copy that. I'm sorry, Mr. Corcoran.
Okay.
I understand. I understand what you're
All right.
Go ahead.
So this breakdown right here, Mr. Corcoran, is our school breakdown. And what we've done, we've taken grades 6, 7, and 8, and we've broken down to how many teachers we will need, how many students we will need, how many class sizes, and things of that sort. In Lincoln Charter School Annex. Go ahead, Ariel. Some of our student course offerings that we will have. We've broken down 6th grade. This is what we have. 7th grade. This is what we have. In 8th grade. This is what we have. Mr. Crocker, please be advised that all of this information has been forwarded to the New York City School Board and can be given to you for part of the record that we have in this presentation.
We will talk about that when you're done. So you can keep going.
Understood. Understood. I understand some of this should have been done in the time of the application, but this is all new to us. But understand that we break it down. We have the actual schedule. that was identified in your, I think that we have a schedule breaking down what students will take what at what time during what years. We've broken that down from grade 6 to grade 7 to grade 8. We've broken it down into trimesters and quarters, looking at it both ways to look at it. What students will take if they choose the business service track, and what students will take if they use the human service track. Okay, Ariel, go ahead, kick out. All right, going back down. We do have our scope and sequence. This is just for the sake of time, we won't show, but you can click into one just to show that we do have the information. This is our scope and sequence that we have per grade level. We've broken it down from 6, 7, and 8, our scope and sequence for not just our ELL students, but our special needs students as well. The different cycles, everything that this is all PA Common Core aligned. And we do have the scope and sequences for grade 6, 7, and 8. This can be given to you guys and put into the record if so chose. Thank you, Ariel. Keep moving. Next slide. Okay, some of the frequently asked questions about the student support services. I won't read them all. Our culture and climate team, we talk about our ROPES program that is very conducive to Lincoln Charter School. It is a catch-all program that we have that is in lieu of suspension. It does meet the needs of not just our gen ed students, but our special needs students, making sure that those services are provided for those students and their rights are not violated to all students. But as you see, we have different areas of support services, not just for our gen ed students, but for our special needs, our English language learners. We do have multi people in the building who are bilingual. Upon taking over Lincoln, we only had maybe 1 or 2 people who are bilingual. Currently, we have a total of maybe 5 to 6 people who are bilingual in our building. Moving forward. Thank you, Ariel. All right, some of the other support services that we have that we'd like to make sure that we look at our culture and climate team, and we build the holistic student, self-reflection, self-care, self-esteem, our bullying prevention program that we have, and our care values that we have presented in our application, along with our life skills programs that will be part of our special needs programs as well that we will offer. Moving forward. Some of our other support programs, I'll not read them all, but these are some of the other support programs that we have as far as our culture and climate team and other support programs moving forward. Okay, we won't get it. Well, we can go, we wanted to get into that. I think Mrs. Horn addressed that. Okay, some of our security, as you see, we have looked at a camera system along with a swipe system, along with a PA standards kiosk system that will be located in the lobby of the building that will, everyone who enters the building must put in an identification card that will print out an ID pass. It will look at the child find registry and things of that sort. So when you talk about safety and security, as noted in your synopsis of our application, these are things that we list along with an MOU with the York City School Board. York City School District, School Police. We have looked at the amendment versus the annex versus chart. We have broken it down. This just gives you a synopsis. As we stated before, it is our intent and it was our wish to have the expansion granted versus the annex, but we have broken it down financially. What are the financial implications versus the Lincoln Charter School amendment versus the annex versus the just having it, if we get 785 students in the annex, we have broken it down, our long-term management plan. Moving forward. We have broken down some just PA charter, talks about charter. There's a big difference between charter and public education. There's not much big difference, but there are some differences that we have, but we stay as true. We love working with the York City School District as far as making sure that we try to keep as consistent as possible. Ariel, you can just move forward past all of this. That's something that the district already has. Okay. Right. And last but not least, we have a program that we presented. As we stated before, this is just something that we presented to the district, saying that we would love to have our expansion, but this is where we are with our 785 and having our charter being heard tonight. So it's at this point that I'd like to say thank you once again to the York City School Board for allowing us to present to you tonight. There are a lot of other things that we have for the sake of time that I will not go into that are thing, but I'd like to end with one of our students that would like to read something to us for the sake of time. Go. There's no sound, Ariel. We got 3 minutes.
Again. Hello everyone, my name is Cassidy Karen and I am 8 years old. I would like to thank Dr. Hart, Miss Amy, and the York City School Board for allowing me to talk today. Again, this time I want to talk about why Lincoln Charter School should be allowed to open in middle school. In our community, Lincoln Charter School is a center for students. It gives us a place to learn, have fun, eat, and feel safe. For some students, this school is their favorite place to be. Why wouldn't we want that to continue for as long as we can? If Lincoln gets a middle school, many students will be given opportunities that other schools don't have. From the guest speakers to the courses to the hands-on learning that happens, Lincoln Charter School has a different type of learning that not every school has. It will prepare them for their future. Take me, for example. I now want to be an astronaut, one of my future careers. My teachers have taken math and science and really made it fun and interesting. I choose books about outer space and NASA because I want to be the first biracial female in space. Lincoln Charter has made me confident that my goal is achievable. I can't wait to see what their middle school teachers and classes offer me when I get to 6th grade. Lincoln Charter needs a middle school to help all the students make their goals achievable.
Thank you, Cassidy. So,
Was her name
Attorney
Cassidy?
Peterson, yeah, that was Cassidy. Attorney Peterson, you said you would let me know when I have 5 minutes. Am I still at that 5 minute mark?
Oh, well, you're over it, but I'll give you a couple more
Great
minutes.
job. Thank you, Attorney Peterson. Thank you for your I appreciate it.
Since we had some technical difficulties, go ahead.
Understood. I appreciate it. So guys, at this time, I'd just like to say thank you once again to the York City School Board and to the York City School Administration. Please be advised that we are not asking for a high school. We would just like to go to grade 8. We would love to work with the York City School District and making sure that our students stay in the city. We want to assure that our students have opportunities to explore, but it is our hope to have those students stay in the city, work with the high, and prepare those students to go to the high. I just want us to know that we're all in this thing together. We are all together in this fight of education. The pandemic has taught us a lot. And then at this point, I just want to thank you guys, the York City School Board and the York City School District Administration, for your hard work and dedication to students. It's a tough profession. None of us get rich doing this thing. We work hard in making sure that we provide a quality education for our students. You can buy a watch, but you cannot buy time. And what we're doing right now is that we're wasting time fighting over students and who's going to educate them and where they're going to land. As long as you guys are doing a great job, we're going to support you. And as long as we're doing a great job, we want you to support us. But we have to work together to build the holistic student and build our communities. Our communities are struggling. Our parents are struggling. Our students are struggling. Our teachers are struggling. But we want to work with you. We want you to work with us to provide a high quality education for all students, no matter what color. I know you mentioned about our special needs students. We do not turn away students at all. We make sure that any student that wants to come to our building, that we will accept all students that come into our building, no matter where they come from. We want those students to be accepted into our program and ensure that we meet the needs of all of our kids. As you see that, we are a community-based school. We want to make sure that we go into the communities and bring the communities into the school. That's where our kids, when they leave our buildings, that's where they go home. And if anything COVID has taught us is that our students are home. They have certain needs that only schools can provide. So with that being said, I just want to thank you ladies and gentlemen for allowing us to present to you tonight. I want to thank my governing board for entrusting us, the Lincoln Charter School staff. As you see, I do not do this alone. I'm one man in the show of Lincoln Charter School and Lincoln Charter School Annex. We will do you proud if this charter is granted. We will do you proud if the expansion is granted. Whichever way you decide to vote, we will do you proud and work with you to assure that we meet the needs of the York City community. So just thank you all for your time, for your gracefulness and allowing us to present to you tonight. I hope we've given you a full comprehensive view of what it is that we would like to see in the Lincoln Charter School Annex as a school entity, providing educational programs from students from pre-grade all the way up to grade 8, and to work with you and to be in alliance with what you guys have. You guys have a K-8 program. We'd like to see the K-8 program in our programs as well. So thank you for allowing us to present to you tonight, Dr. Berry and your administration. We appreciate you. To your governing board, thank you. We appreciate you. To my governing board and staff, thank you a lot. Attorney Peterson, I turn it back over to you.
Okay.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Hart. So for purposes of the record, the presentation, the slide deck from the presentation that you just gave will be entered into the record. We're going to mark that as Charter School Exhibit number 4. However, there are a number of embedded links in that document that take you to other documents.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I want to make sure we're on the same page about this. You may not agree with what I'm about to say, but this is the established policy of the district and has been uniformly applied to every applicant. And so we're not making any sort of special rules for you, and there's a reason for that. So the slide deck will be added. The documents that were embedded in it are not going to be added to the record because they were not submitted with the original application or by the supplementation deadline that is established in the policy. So I just want to make sure that you understand that and we're clear. Okay.
I would defer that to my counsel and to see what my counsel has to say about that. The counsel, would you like to talk about that? I don't know if that's.
I'm not sure what the links actually link to. I mean, the only one that I saw that was different from what was submitted was a link to King Spry's website with regards to a website that describes the enrollment cap. So,
well, let me just be clear. So I have it somewhere. So I'm looking at the printout. My camera's, you see, this is the presentation that Mr. Hart, or Dr. Hart, excuse me, just presented from. There are several slides, such as, here's one. So where it says the frequently asked questions, there are HTTPS links here to Google, a Google Drive, I believe, or Google Docs. I don't know what's in those drives. I don't know if there was a mention or an explanation of that, but what I'm saying is whatever's in those drives is not coming into the record. The slide presentation is, but to the extent there's content there, that content should have been submitted with the original application. If maybe there's nothing there, I don't know what's there, but it's not going to be included as a supplementation to the record.
Copy that. Now, question, Attorney Peterson. Well, can those documents be in rebuttal to what the administration has submitted to us? Because that's what we developed that on as well.
Well, the problem with that, and let me be clear, there's case law from the State Charter School Appeal Board that indicates that a school district who would be receiving charter school applications has the authority to establish the rules and the procedures that would be utilized to process a charter school application. York City did that, I think, as far back as at least 2012. And those rules have been consistently applied to all applicants that have come to York City and have included a deadline by which any additional materials had to be included or supplemented prior to the board engaging in the hearing process, because everybody has invested a lot of time reviewing the materials that you have provided. So in this case, the supplementation deadline was established, I believe it was the beginning of December in this case. And in fact, Lincoln Charter School Annex did provide additional content and information as part of that supplementation, and that is included in the record. To the extent there are additional documents, in these Google Drives or in Google Docs, whatever it is, that is not already part of the record, that it cannot be considered at this time because of those rules. So again, it's really out of fairness to everyone that comes in front of the board. Now, if something changes with that, we will let you know, and if there's any other discussion to be had where that might be appropriate for that, that may occur. But at this point, under the established rules, that information will not be included as part of the record.
No problem. I understand. Thank you, Attorney Peterson, for that explanation.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, not to belabor the point, but if the links go back to documents that are actually already in the record, then
Then
they
they're
stay
already in the
right.
record.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, we understand. Thank you, Attorney Peterson.
Okay, so I had said we're going to mark the slide deck that you just presented as Charter School Exhibit number 4, in case I didn't say that. All right, so the last part of our agenda tonight is for public comment. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Farrell to kind of run this and organize this to the extent there are individuals who are on the Zoom platform who are interested in giving public comment tonight.
Jess, that would be you for online.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 guests.
Sorry, who's that speaking? Jessica? Is it?
Jessica Altoff.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 attendees who have signed up to speak. First is Mark Fry. It's MARCFRY.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Mark.
Fry, is that you?
Yes, this is me.
Okay, can you please provide your full name and your address for the record?
Sure. Mark Fry, 631 Smith Street, York, Pennsylvania, 17404.
Okay, and you will have up to 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm not originally from York. I've lived here 3 years. It's my 4th year at Lincoln Charter School, so I kind of have a different perspective. When I moved to York City to teach in the inner city, I wanted to live in the inner city, to be with the community, experience what the kids experience, and support the community as much as possible. I realize that a lot of times education is based on policy and budget, and it can often get political, but I think I want to speak out of the interest of the students and the kids that I teach, because I think sometimes they get lost. And I just feel at Lincoln, something that even though this is my 4th year, they've been very consistent in their service to the community and servicing the kids. And I think me as an educator, that's the best thing that I can do, is be consistent with my students and consistent in my neighborhood with the people that I come across. And I see York City and how it's set up with the 9 different schools, K through 8. And I just think that Lincoln Charter having the opportunity to be consistent with their students and provide that consistency to them to go K through 8 would be very beneficial when a lot of their home environments are constantly changing, and just a lot of things in the community can be not very consistent. So I just wanted to speak on behalf of the students at Lincoln Charter and advocate for the expansion. So thank you.
The second one I have is Brittany Merritt.
Hi.
Ms. Merritt, can you please provide your full name and your address?
Absolutely. Brittany, that's spelled Brittany, Merritt, Merritt, and 204 South Pine Street, York, Pennsylvania 17403.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I currently have 3 children that attend Lincoln Charter School, and a 4th to attend next year. My oldest daughter is currently in the 4th grade, and so next year would be her last year at Lincoln Charter School if the expansion or annex proposal is not granted, which is very devastating to her. Lincoln is where she feels one of her safe spaces is. She has it, like all my kids, even my one that is not in attendance yet. He cries when we have to leave because he wants to attend school. And when things happen, my kids feel like they can go to their teachers and talk to their teachers. You know, they know that they're people they can trust. Dr. Hart and Miss Annie, my kids absolutely adore both of them, along with countless other people in the school. This past summer, my kids and we were looking at moving out of York City and out of the York County area, and they begged me to not move so they would not have to lose going to Lincoln Charter School. So I changed plans. I changed everything around that was supposed to happen this past summer so they would not lose the education that they love. My oldest daughter started Lincoln Charter, I think when she was in 2nd grade. She started there struggling reading, struggling with spelling, struggling pretty much in everything to now. My daughter, she will read books upon books upon books. She, as far as I know, I think is exceeding her grade level now in reading. So Lincoln Charter School and just the way they break things down for the students and making things fun for them to learn, as well as keeping things very structured for them, has been amazing for my family. And I would love to see, you know, things move forward for them so that way my kids can have the same thing as regular York City kids have with the K-8, and then figure out high school when high school comes. Thank you for letting me speak this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. Are there any other individuals who are registered through the Zoom to make comment?
I do not have anybody else. No.
Yes, this is Deb Smallwood. I did fill the link out, but I think the mistake was that I'm also part of the LCSA team. So I never received the link.
Okay, Ms. Smallwood, if you would like to give a comment and you're prepared to do so, now you can do so.
Okay. I just
And
would like to.
Your address, please, just so it's
I'm
clear.
sorry, 713 South Duke Street, York, PA.
Go ahead.
Okay, I would just like to say that with working with the team on the Pathway Career College career readiness, I begin to reminisce about how great York City used to be, how they had KCE, performing arts, cosmetology. Students from other districts used to come to York City to attend our school. We had one of the best swimming programs. They had a planetarium. And I'm just thinking, wow, if we could work together and we can continue that college and career readiness from 6 through 8 and then take it to the high school, how great can we become again? That's all I have to say. How great can we become again?
Thank you, Ms. Smallwood. And I see another comment in the chat from, is it Ms. Smith or Ms. Smith?
Yeah, Shantae Reese-Smith.
Yes, ma'am. This is Shantae Reese-Smith.
And you would like to provide a comment as well?
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna give you my address. My address is 275 West Springersbury Avenue in York, Pennsylvania. I first would like to take the time to thank the York City School Board for allowing me the time to talk to you about my love for education. However, I must say that while I would love to talk about my passion, it's more needed to focus on the needs of York City's children and their academics. Lincoln Charter is important within our educational community. We live in a land of choice. With choices, there are consequences. The question that comes across my heart is in relations to creating an addition in the annex from LCS Elementary, and what would be the benefit if we did not. Our community does not need any more prisons or jails. We need buildings that will educate our students so that we can build the future. Limiting the choice for families to decide what's best for their learning continues to break the gap in our community instead of building it. The desire for children to be educated does bear a financial obligation. However, the longer effect on not keeping students connected to their support system by choice bears a bigger responsibility. Earlier this month, unfortunately, we lost one of our students who was in the 3rd grade. The support that her biological family received at that time and still receives from LCS surpassed the academics and merged into support as one family. Again, I will ask you to weigh all stakeholders outside of yourselves. Weigh the pros and the cons prior to finalizing your decisions. And again, I thank you for allowing me to speak to you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. I believe that's everybody who's on the Zoom who wanted to speak.
Yes, that's all I see at the moment.
Then, Ms. Farrell, were there written public comments submitted prior to tonight's hearing?
Yes.
Okay, can you go ahead and read those and provide the name and the address of the individuals who submitted comments?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
It's better, okay. The first one is Daisha Alarza, 37 North Hartman Street, York, PA.
And can you just, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's
Can you
okay.
just spell the name and then give the address again?
Okay, DAYSHAILLARZA, 37 North Hartman Street, 17403. You got it? Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm a
Thank you.
York City community member and social service professional. I currently work as a school social work intern at Lincoln Charter School. I am very passionate about at-risk youth and community outreach and was drawn to Lincoln Charter for those very reasons. Lincoln Charter stood out to me because of their work within the community as well as their continued dedication to the success of our students. As someone that has worked in both the behavioral health and mental health fields, it is sometimes a challenge with getting support from the schools. Lincoln Charter has never shown that to me. I have watched over the years as the school has identified needs and implemented change to meet them. I have attended their MLK program in past years and have felt a sense of family and connectedness from the environment. It was important to me to align myself with an organization that goes above and beyond for the student and families. I am thankful to be able to learn from the people that help to create such a positive environment. It is my pleasure to write this letter in support of Lincoln Charter School application. This one is from Trinity Y, TRINITY WHY. Says she's a 4th grade student, 240 Harding Court, 17401. I believe that Lincoln Elementary School should open because us Lions would like to roar for another year of school in Lincoln. Lincoln is the best school in York, and that makes our minds expand with education. Children should have a chance to speak. Lincoln means friends and learning. Without that, the children would not be able to know all these things. And this is from the Cheatham family, CHEATHAM THAM Family, 527 North Hartley Street, 17404. Got it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I write as a parent that has had 3 children attend Lincoln Charter School. They are now in 8th grade, 4th grade, and 1st. My 8th grader attended Lincoln K to 5. She was doing extremely well in school with straight A's. She was also an ambassador in grades 4th and 5th. She learned how to fluently speak Spanish, how to garden, and was in every program available to her, thanks to the staff at Lincoln. Unfortunately, since she's left Lincoln, her academics and grades have dropped tremendously because she doesn't have the same opportunities. I also speak on behalf of the children that have learning disabilities and need that extra support, which are my 4th and 1st graders as well. Being as though they are already struggling to learn, why make them adapt to a new school, new teachers, and a new environment, instead of keeping them in their comfort zone with the same students and staff that helped them get this far? Lincoln is a home away from home. They show love and support to every parent and student that walks through the door. I am worried and don't trust that my children would get the same learning opportunity nor family environment if they have to leave Lincoln for middle school. These children need a bridge of opportunity. I believe firsthand that these children stand a greater chance of meeting higher standards when crossing the bridge of opportunity, especially when 2 things come together that they are already familiar with. Lincoln helps everyone achieve their educational goals, and I hope to see these approaches shared with other charter schools and beyond. Jennifer Thompson Stewart. Do you need me to spell it?
Thompson hyphen Stewart, is it? Like
It doesn't have a hyphen, but they're both listed.
Stewart?
Correct.
Okay. Mhm.
And the address is 222 South Hawthorne Street, HAWTHORNE.
Right. No,
Zip code 17401. Hello, this is Samaya Stewart's mom, and I'm inquiring about middle at Lincoln Charter, where we feel best fit for our school. For our scholar, Samara has been with Lincoln for the last 4 years, and we have seen growth and confidence in her academic achievements. She also joined the basketball team, which she loves and would love to return as the first class of the middle school. It takes a village to raise a child, and Lincoln Charter is my village. I've chosen this school because ultimately they believe in the same qualities I have for my student. This is the type of support our children need to become the best they can be. Making the changes to become pre-K to 8 is necessary. For the last 4 years, I have seen wonderful growth within my daughter. In most schools, we see our children adopt negative behaviors, but here at Lincoln, they hold their students accountable academically and for personal growth. Lincoln finally has helped my student build confidence within herself. We need this expansion so that our children can continue to grow comfortably.
Well, could you, the daughter's name was, what was her name again? I'm sorry, Lori.
That's okay. Samaya.
Okay, thank you.
Azara Washington, Azaira Washington, 228 Grantley Street, 17401. I am writing this letter to ask you to grant a proposal for Lincoln Charter Annex. I have personally witnessed administrators, teachers, and other staff members develop a solid plan and curriculum to help the whole child. I believe helping the student emotionally and socially is just as important as an educational experience. Grades 6 to 8 are probably one of the toughest time in a child's life. They are at the phase where they are not a small child, but not a teenager yet. Students need a safe place to experience these different changes, and Lincoln Charter School Annex, in my opinion, is a place where they can do so. Lincoln Charter School Annex won't just be beneficial to previous students of Lincoln Charter School, but to all students in the York County area. So as you make the final decisions on the charter, please think of all the good Lincoln Charter Annex will do. Shania Johnson, Shanaya Johnson, 551 West King Street, 17401. Hello, my name is Shania Johnson. I think that it's a good idea to open a charter middle school for students. I have a fourth grader that goes to Lincoln's charter school now. His name is Asan Johnson, Azhaun Johnson. He's been doing good this school since kindergarten, and the teachers that he has or had are amazing. And if they do open the middle school, that would be great. That way he could meet different teachers and students, also look up to his peers. Lincoln Charter School is a great school for students to learn and grow. So I think it's a great idea to open up a middle school. Sincerely, a Lincoln Lion parent. Maribel Santiago.
Better spell that first name.
Maribel Santiago. 345 East Locust Street, 17403. My name is Maribel Santiago, mom of Jaden Rao, R-A-U-H, Alameda, A-L-A-M-E-D-A, Santiago, and Caden Rao, R-A-U-L. We like this school so much. My kids feel so comfort and feel good. We all the staff and teachers. Of course, we will like that the school will be expanded so they can be comfortable with the personnel. Do you have everything from that one?
I think I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, this name is Q-U-A-S-E-M-A-H. Last name Allen-Hawkins. Lincoln Charter School was my and the address was 240 Park Place, 17401. Lincoln Charter School was my elementary school from kindergarten to 5th grade. When came to school, I knew if I was good and completed all of my work, I would get to help the technology staff. So they gave a few roles, and mine was to help set up for morning announcements. Lincoln always believed in me and my dreams of working in the technology. I began attending York County School of Technology and received an internship offer to work with Lincoln for learning programs. I worked with Lincoln since I was in 9th grade. In my 12th grade year of school, I received another opportunity and got hired on with Lincoln as a part-time staff. I maintain an A-day, B-day schedule with school and work. I now attend Central Penn College in Somerdale, Pennsylvania, majoring in information of technology. I'm so appreciative for Lincoln and Dr. Hart for giving me the opportunity to work with the students and staff. I was able to share my story with students and let them see that it is true that you can be what you dream to be with hard work and dedication to your education. I truly think that if Lincoln was able to branch out into a middle school, the students would have the same opportunity that I was given. I also think that all schools should be able to teach their students all the way to 8th grade. Some students get lost in the crowd and end up in the wrong direction in life once they leave elementary school. They would have to get to know a whole new world that they may not be ready for. So if they could stay where they are now and continue to grow, that would be great. Please think about the children and let's work as a community. Devante Fry, D-I-V-A-N-T-E Fry, F-R-E-Y. 1301 East Philadelphia Street, 17403. I used to attend Lincoln Charter School when I was younger. I was one of the original ambassadors for the school. I think Lincoln having a middle school would be an excellent idea. I remember when I was graduating from Lincoln, I wish they had a middle school I could go to instead of going to a brand new school. I'm currently a senior in high school at York County School of Technology. I think that Lincoln was the best structured school I've been in. They made school fun and interesting without making it feel overbearing. I read to kindergartners as a 5th grader. It was one of the best memories I have from all my years in school. It allowed me to build relationships with a kid who was younger than me. Okay, this is my last one. Samantha Carey, C-A-R-E-Y is the last name. 244 Thaxton Lane. I'm writing to you regarding a middle school at Lincoln Charter School. My son used to attend Lincoln Charter Elementary from 2011 to 2017. My son received good grades while attending there. Everyone was extremely friendly and helpful to my son when in need. I wish there was a middle school present at the time that my son was attending the school. Having a middle school at Lincoln would have been very beneficial to me. Since I'm a working mother, I wouldn't have had to search for another school for my son to attend, which the new school was also now a bit further than where I reside. Lincoln was very close to my home. The commute wasn't that far from home, which worked out very well. Having a middle school at Lincoln will also help the other working parents who have children attending there. They would not have to worry about finding another school for their child to attend. The commute will not be so far, especially for children who have to walk to school. It will be beneficial for them to attend a school nearby to their home, since for some children, transportation is scarce, especially if weather permits. I would like to see a middle school at Lincoln. I now have another son who in a few months will be turning 5 years old. He will be starting kindergarten in the fall, and of course, I will be searching a school for him. Lincoln will be the #1 school choice on the list. I just don't want to switch my son to another school when that time comes. Also, since his brother attended the school in the past, I have confidence that his education will be in good hands. Thank you. That was the last one.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell. Appreciate you
You're
reading
welcome.
those. So we're at the end of the process for tonight. As I stated earlier in the proceeding, the applicant under the board policy has the opportunity to file a concluding document because of the time schedule that the board is operating under pursuant to the charter school law. We have a tight turnaround time for when that document will need to be submitted. Since today is January 26th, in order to get that to the board with sufficient time for the board to review it, we're going to have a deadline of Friday, February 5th for the submission of that document. That document can either be emailed to me through your counsel or Dr. Hart or whomever, you could email it to Ms. Thomas. If it is submitted by 5 p.m. on Friday, February 5th, then it will be included as part of the record. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Have we clarified all your questions tonight? We thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate everyone's time tonight. I know it was long, but on behalf of the board, it's important that all of this information get in front of them to provide the clarity over the application. Without any other things to deal with tonight, the hearing is now adjourned. Thank you all very much.